The Producer Podcast highlights are back as we're turning our attention to season 10 of the show and the discussion we had with several of our season 10 guests on the topic of stress. What do you do in the film industry, which is oftentimes talked about as a very stressful work environment? And how do you mitigate some of that stress out of your life in the downtime? That's what we're going to look at today with our guest of the show. So without further ado, let's get started. First up, we're joined by producing couple Richie and Bethany Johns.
That's a good question. We just cry a lot. No, I'm kidding.
I mean,
Sometimes
I,
you need a good cry, but I wouldn't say that's a very
yeah.
good stress relief for us. At least maybe not for Richie. Um, that's a really good question. I think a really good habit we built for Promised Land, because we were out in Utah, and Utah is beautiful in the fall. Like it is just the weather's perfect. The views are incredible, and the little neighborhood that we stayed in our Airbnb had a little like duck pond, and so I think for us, like during production, whether it was like first thing in the morning or like right before the sunset, if we happened to be home, we weren't always, but sometimes we were of just like taking our dogs. We have two dogs. We have two corgis. Their names are Esther and Melchizedek, and they are the light of our lives, if I can say that, about my fur babies, if you will. And just like being able to just like take them for a walk, and like our dogs loved the ducks. And so like that, just like little things like that, being able to find like joy in very small moments of, production could be going crazy. We could be, I don't know, losing locations or whatever. But if I took my dog for a walk that next morning, I got to step away from it and be like, oh, look how much he loves the ducks. And that just seems like such a small and silly thing. But it's funny, we actually just had a conversation about that yesterday of like we're going to um another country for some filming this fall, and we were like, how are we going to manage our stress when like we're in a totally different culture and a totally different environment? So yeah, I don't know, because my dogs won't be in that other country with us. I think a big thing too for us is just like being able to just step away in some capacity, whether that's like just quiet time with the Lord. I think that's a big one for both of us. We can both tell like, oh, we've skipped a couple days. Like we've just been really crazy. And unfortunately that's fallen to a back burner. It shouldn't have, but it did. And so like we need to get back in those rhythms. And I just think maintaining healthy habits is how do we even prevent this? How do we prevent the stress levels from getting too high in the first place? What are active
Right.
habits that we're building in to maintain healthy stress levels? There's always going to be stress in this industry. It's hard not to when you're working really long days, and you're trying to get a lot done in those few hours you have. And so for a lot us, we like to just talk through, like Richie said, living life in seasons. Are like stress mitigating habits change depending on the season, but we just really like to like pinpoint those things of what is something that's really working for me right now to mitigate my stress from getting too high in the first place, and then just making sure that those are priorities in your lives.
Yeah, Bethany said it really well. Yeah, my two things were going to be make sure you're not skipping out on your personal devotional times, and that's a big thing for me. Yeah, like Bethany said, literally we are just talking about this yesterday. And the other piece for me would be music. I play a few different instruments, and so even just started a kind of routine of carving that out into just a little break in the afternoon, especially in just very stressful seasons to have an outlet, and it can be to going on a walk like with the dogs or whatever, being able to carve out that time to clear your head and then also just spend time with the creator.
Continuing the conversation, we have producer Justin Tolley.
Yeah. So, I mean, I spend devotion time every day. I'll get to set early. Usually I never have a problem getting up and going to set, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and at the end of the day, I'm just so wiped that mentally I couldn't do it. So I try to spend some devotion time. It's the one that sets me in the right mindset I'm asking the Lord for everything I need for that day. And so I'm relying on him to be my source of strength and not my family. And so that ends up, um, galvanizing my relationship and my trust and my hope on the Lord. But it also, I come out of my car ready to operate in love, ready to operate in humility, um, and expecting the Lord to do something. So that those are the de-stressors I feel like, because if we just get numb and just basically check out, it's one, you're not helping anyone. You're kind of a bad witness at that point. And so it's, looking for opportunities for God to show up. If we
Yes.
can keep our mindset on that throughout an even terrible project, it's going to make that project better.
And joining us from LA, we have producer Carolina Gropa.
The beauty and the ugly of what this is like if you truly, truly love it, like I don't know how you fully untether on the day to day. And so I think like advice I always give is it's really important to leave LA once every 6 months if you can, even for a couple days, even if it's just going to like San Diego. You don't have to go far, but just to get out of this bubble and be in a different energy. For me, that's really valuable just to remember like there's a world that's so much bigger than this world that we live in, and that world is super important to be a part of and be inspired by, and bring that back into the work that motivates you to stay here and fight the fight.
Finally, wrapping up this episode of the Producer Podcast Highlights, I'm joined by producer director Jared O'Flaherty.
If there would be anything, it's that I don't cling to the project too tightly. If Vindication's over with after season 4, so be it. I'll let it go, let it sell off, right? I think there's some people that are so passionate and so desperate. And you know what? Probably the motivational books and speakers would tell you that's what you have to have is that motivation and passion to be successful. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? If I got to let this thing go, I don't want it to become an idol anyway. So if the time comes to let it go, let it go. So that one for me maybe helps with the stress a little bit, that
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not clinging to it with white knuckles that, I've got to see this do another season or I've got to see it do this and that.
And with that, we're going to wrap up this highlights edition of the show. Make sure to catch all 100 episodes of the Producer Podcast that are currently streaming wherever you find your podcast. Stay tuned for more new episodes of the show coming in 2026. Until next time, make sure to subscribe to the Producer Podcast, and thanks for listening.